there, welcome to my kitchen. Some of my all-time favorite dinners to make are only about 20 minutes or less. So today I'm going to be showing you 5 new dinner ideas that are only about 20 minutes to throw together, which is amazing, especially at this busy time of year. So I hope you enjoy it, and let's go ahead to the kitchen and start cooking. We're kicking today off with my family's favorite spaghetti with an amazing meaty sauce. To my Dutch oven on the stove, I added in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Once my oil was hot, I added in 1 diced up white onion and 2 large carrots that I diced. If you don't want to add in the carrots, you certainly don't have to, but I really do like the added flavor the carrots give. And then I added in 1 pound of ground beef. I'm breaking the ground beef up and I'm cooking it through at this point. Once my ground beef was cooked through, I removed any excess grease in the pan. Then I added in 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. I gave it a really good stir for about 20 seconds to let the garlic become fragrant. And then I added in our 1/3 cup of beef broth. I let this simmer on my stove for a couple of minutes to let the beef broth reduce down. Next, I added in 2 tablespoons of tomato paste along with a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, 28 ounces of crushed tomatoes, and then for the seasonings to give this plenty of flavor, I added in 2 teaspoons of dried oregano, 2 teaspoons of dried basil, a teaspoon of salt, and my favorite part, a tablespoon of brown sugar. The brown sugar is kind of like a secret ingredient just because it adds so much extra flavor. You gotta trust me, it's really good. After you gave this a really good stir, put the lid on top and let this simmer on your stove for at least 10 minutes. While it's simmering, go ahead and start on your spaghetti noodles. To this pot of boiling water, I added in 10 ounces of those noodles and I cooked them according to the package instructions. Now that my sauce is through simmering, I gave this a really good stir and then it was time to serve it up. I could absolutely serve this spaghetti to my family every week this year and not get tired of it. It's that good. It is 10 out of 10. And then I served it with a breadstick and alongside of a side salad with lettuce, avocado, cherry tomatoes, and a little bit of Italian dressing. Now we're making this new honey garlic chicken, and first I do want to show you how I make the most perfect rice. I think it is so good. To my Instant Pot, I add 2 cups of uncooked rinsed jasmine rice with 2 cups of water and a tablespoon of olive oil. I put the lid on top, set it to sealing, and I press the rice button. Then you will have the most perfect rice in the world, I promise. But now to get started on our chicken. To my pan, I have about 2 tablespoons of hot olive oil in there. I'm adding my 1 pound of chicken tenderloins, or you could use chicken breast, whatever you prefer. Then I season the chicken on both sides with a dash of salt and pepper. Cook the chicken for about 4 minutes on each side to cook it through. While we have our chicken cooking away, we're going to start on the honey garlic sauce. So to this little bowl, I added a 1/3 cup of chicken broth, next a 1/3 cup of honey, 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar. If you don't have rice vinegar, you could add regular vinegar. Then 2 teaspoons of low sodium soy sauce. Give this a really good whisk to combine the ingredients. One little trick that I do like doing while cooking chicken on the stove top is I like to only flip it once normally. That way the outside of the chicken forms a really nice crust and it's even better that way. But after my chicken was cooked through in my pan, I added in 1 tablespoon of butter along with a tablespoon of minced garlic. I gave this a stir to melt the butter down. At this point, you're going to add in that honey garlic sauce. Let it simmer on your stove for about 3 minutes to thicken up. And if you know me, you know that I do like super thick sauce. So what I do like adding in for this recipe is a cornstarch slurry. It's just a tablespoon of water and a tablespoon of cornstarch mixed together, and that will really make your sauce thick. But once it got to that point, I served it up. Of course, I served it over our Instant Pot white rice. That rice is just amazing, and I served it with steamed broccoli on the side. This meal is really easy to throw together and it is on the healthier side. We love it. Now we're getting started on this classic chicken and broccoli tortellini to my large Dutch oven on the stove, or you could just use a regular large pot. I have 2 tablespoons of hot olive oil in there. I added my 1 pound of cubed chicken breast. I seasoned it with a dash of pepper, salt, and Italian seasoning. I gave this a stir to coat the chicken in the seasoning, and I cooked the chicken through at this point. Now that we have our chicken cooked through, I'm removing it to a separate plate, and I'm going to set this plate to the side. To the same pot that we cooked our chicken in, I added a tablespoon of minced garlic. I'm going to stir the garlic around until it's fragrant. It only takes about 20 seconds. Then I added in our chicken broth. It's just about 1.5 cups of that, and then 1 cup of milk. I brought this up to a gentle boil. Now I'm adding in about 19 ounces of frozen cheese tortellini, or you could use fresh cheese tortellini, whatever you prefer, and 1 head of broccoli that I chopped. This is fresh broccoli. I'm going to let this simmer together on the stove for about 5 minutes. I did stir this frequently. After our simmering time was up, I added back in our cooked chicken along with a 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese and 8 ounces of cream cheese that I cubed. I do have the heat on a low heat at this point. I gave this a really good stir to melt down the cheeses, then it was time to serve it up. I really love how this one pot meal is a complete meal in itself because you got the protein and the vegetable for the broccoli. If you don't normally cook with tortellini, you need to start cooking with it today because it is like pasta, but so much better. This one is an extremely fun one. We are making cheeseburger quesadillas. To begin, to the pan on my stove, I added 1 pound of ground beef. I broke it up with my meat masher and I cooked it through. While the ground beef was cooking away, we started on a special sauce. So to this little bowl, I added in a 1/2 cup of mayonnaise. Next, 2 tablespoons of white onion that I diced into small pieces. And then 2 tablespoons of dill pickle relish. Next, add about 4 tablespoons of ketchup. The last ingredient is 2 teaspoons of white vinegar. I gave this a really good whisk, and then I stored it in the fridge until our quesadillas were through cooking. But now that we have our ground beef cooked through, I removed any grease in the pan. Then I added in about 4 tablespoons of ketchup and about 3 tablespoons of yellow mustard. I gave this a really good stir to let it kind of become like a sauce. Then I set it to the side. You'll see it's actually quite a bit of fun assembling these quesadillas. So to a new clean pan on my stove, I sprayed it with a little bit of avocado oil spray. Once the oil was hot, I added a medium-sized tortilla down. Now over that tortilla, you are going to sprinkle some shredded sharp cheddar cheese on top. You could add as much or as little cheese as you want. And then over the cheese, I'm adding that ground beef mixture. This recipe makes about 4 of these quesadillas, I'd say. But now over that ground beef mixture, you are going to add any hamburger toppings you like. I chose to do just pickles and onions, but bacon would be really good even. The last couple things I added was more cheese and another tortilla on the top. I served my quesadilla with some of that special sauce, and when I was growing up back in elementary school, when they'd run out of hamburger buns at lunchtime, they'd actually serve them in tortillas. So this is kind of what gave me an idea for this recipe. It is so good. I'm sure you are going to love it as much as I do. Now we're making this chicken with the most perfect, rich, creamy sauce. To begin, I am going to dice my onion and slice my mushrooms into small pieces. I set the veggies to the side. We're going to start on the chicken now. To my pound of cubed chicken breast, I added a tablespoon of all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. The cayenne is a little bit spicy, so be careful with that. And then 2 teaspoons of paprika. I gave this a really good stir to coat the chicken in all of those wonderful seasonings. I have my stove turned to medium-high heat so the chicken could get nice and crispy. I added in a tablespoon of butter, let it melt down, then I added in our chicken, and I cooked the chicken on each side for only about 2 minutes. You just want the chicken to crisp up on the outside. You don't need it to be completely cooked through on the inside yet, but now I added in our mushrooms and our onions. I'm going to let this continue to cook for an additional 4 minutes on the stove. After that cooking time is up, add in your tablespoon of minced garlic and let it become fragrant. It only takes about 20 seconds. After that, you are going to add in your half a cup of chicken broth. Let this simmer for about 4 minutes, stirring it frequently, and let the chicken cook through at this point. We like eating this over egg noodles, so to this pot of boiling water, I added in about 2 cups of egg noodles, and I just cooked them according to the bag instructions. Back over to our chicken that is now cooked through, I added in 1/4 cup of sour cream. I do have the heat off at this point. I gave this a really good stir to combine the sour cream with the ingredients and form a sauce. Then it was ready to serve. Of course, I served mine over a bed of those egg noodles, but you could serve this over mashed potatoes, rice, cauliflower rice, really whatever you like. I cannot even explain this recipe to you. It is just so good. You need to try it. And I served it alongside of a side salad. I really just wanted to thank you guys so much for 500,000 subscribers. I never thought I'd reach this milestone, and you might say I help you with cooking stuff, but you'll never realize how much your love and support has helped me over the years. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.